So we've talked quite a bit at this point this week about the death of former Secretary of State Colin Powell. We've talked about the political side and Powell's legacy as someone who, well, he found some areas of reason since the Obama era and defending Barack Obama against misplaced Islamophobia and criticizing Donald Trump for the absurdities that Donald Trump was. He was really one of the main perpetrators in selling the Iraq war to the American people and the global population. We talked about that. So that was one piece. Second piece was the medical side, anti-vaxxers swarming to weaponize the death of Colin Powell, saying, look, the vaccines don't work. He was vaccinated. He died, of course, 84-year-old with both cancer and Parkinson's, does not really prove or disprove anything about the effectiveness and efficacy of vaccines at a population level. So those have been the two big stories. Well, the former president, Donald Trump, has now come out of the woodwork and has put out just a disgusting statement about Colin Powell. Now, my view on this is sort of like, regardless of what you think about the politics of Colin Powell, this is a disgusting statement from a former president, which we will look at. As USA Today reports, amid tributes to Colin Powell, Donald Trump disparages former Secretary of State. A day after the death of former Secretary of State Colin Powell, former President Trump disparaged the diplomat and decorated general in a statement released by his office. Powell died Monday of COVID complications. Trump's statement echoed his actions after the deaths of other prominent Americans who he considered foes, including Senator John McCain, civil rights icon John Lewis, and Congressman John Dingell, who was the longest serving member of Congress. So let's take a look at the statement from Donald Trump, because he is off Twitter and off Facebook and off who knows where else he's off. And his blog failed miserably. Donald Trump puts out these statements through the Save America PAC. That's another grift under which he raises money, supposedly to do good things for someone. And he seems to keep most of the money. OK, so he put this out yesterday. Statement by Trump. OK, wonderful to see Colin Powell, who made big mistakes on Iraq and famously so-called weapons of mass destruction. That's true. Be treated in death so beautifully by the capital F fake news media. Hope that happens to me someday. He was a classic rhino. Rhino, again, is Republican in name only. If even that, always being the first to attack other Republicans. He made plenty of mistakes. But anyway, may he rest in peace. And right below, you can donate to the Save America PAC if you like that statement from Donald Trump. We're back to 0 days since former President Donald Trump was a national embarrassment. I genuinely thought this one was fake. I really thought this was fake because it's so absurd, but it's real. It's horrifyingly real. And I sort of laughed to myself thinking back to when we were told after some Trump speech, this was like 2017, he's clearly now moving to be more presidential, more sober and more adult and all of that stuff. That was like 4 years ago, and it obviously still has not happened. And this is essentially basically an envious reaction to coverage of Colin Powell's death. As the USA Today article mentioned, Trump attacked John McCain for being a prisoner of war while John McCain was alive. When John McCain passed away, Trump still had bad things to say about John McCain. It's not a huge shocker. This is not about, we can't make substantive policy critiques of people when they die. This is not about, in the case of really bad, evil people, even saying, hey, you know what? When Rush Limbaugh died, I don't wish death on anyone. I don't wish the trauma of that to people's family. It's not me to wish for someone's death, but I can recognize that they were a dramatically damaging influence on society, as was Rush Limbaugh. We can do that. And similarly with Colin Powell, someone who I found to be, generally speaking, an intelligent guy, interesting to listen to on many topics, and someone who, as a Republican, maybe opened some other Republicans during the Obama era into reconsidering or re-examining some of their beliefs by saying, hey, not only is Obama not a Muslim, what if he was? It's kind of un-American to say then he shouldn't be president. Pointing out that Donald Trump doesn't represent, kind of Mitt Romney, John McCain type Republicanism. Like, these are reasonable things to say. And a salesperson for the completely misguided war in Iraq based on lies about weapons of mass destruction. And we can recognize all of those things. But to see such a disgusting, obviously envious statement from a former president, very much on brand for Trump, very much in line with what we've come to expect, but absolutely and completely disgusting.
One of our sponsors is CuriosityStream, the only subscription streaming service dedicated to documentaries. If you're like me, you're always watching documentaries. You want to find the best ones. And CuriosityStream is really a must-have. CuriosityStream has a better selection of documentaries than Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon. I just finished watching Wasteland, about a landfill on the outskirts of Rio in Brazil, where men and women sift through garbage in order to try to make some money. It's horrifying, but extraordinarily well done. They always have the newest and most critically acclaimed titles. When you're looking for good documentaries, use the streaming service that specializes in documentaries. That's why I use CuriosityStream. They have documentaries on politics, economics, history, technology, psychology, everything. If you love documentaries, you've got to have CuriosityStream. You will see what I mean when you start using it. When you go to curiositystream.com/Pacman, you'll get 25% off a subscription, which comes out to just $15 a year. The link is right underneath this video.